Welcome to Just Relationships, the show that offers you concrete ways to make your relationships better. Whether it's your boss, your spouse, your children, or your friends, the quality of your relationships in life directly affects how you feel about yourself and the success you achieve. Your host, Dr. Duffy Spencer, a psychotherapist, telecoach, author, and seminar leader, will interview top experts to help you learn to manage this essential part of your life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Duffy Spencer.
Greetings to you. What is this power of fertility? What is it that so many people find so easy to just procreate, and others have a very difficult time of it? So what does it mean to be infertile? If you have ever been in this position or know someone who has, and you would like to put a very different light on the subject, please stay tuned, because I'm very happy to introduce to you my guest, Marc Sherman, who is the author of Journey to Parenthood and Beyond, a whole couple's guide to being able to conceive. Welcome, Marc.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Oh, you're welcome, Marc. And I was so impressed with you when I met you at the radio broadcast conference that you were so enthusiastic and upbeat and really offering a whole new way of looking at this issue of so-called infertility. And I will say to everyone that it does have a lot to do with thinking differently and getting rid of stinking thinking and looking at the power of our minds and our bodies and the mind-body connection. And before you even respond in this moment, I just want to remind everyone of the stories we hear so often of a couple trying so hard to get pregnant, and they finally say, okay, I guess we're infertile, and they go to adopt a child, and no sooner do they adopt a child than the woman gets pregnant. Pretty familiar, right, Marc?
Absolutely. They're so common, these stories. They really are. And actually, when you're struggling to conceive, Dr. Duffy, they're actually frustrating stories to hear, because when people share those stories with you, it indirectly almost points the finger as if you've created an environment that's not healthy for life, or that you actually have to give up on what you so desperately want in order to get an outcome that you want. And what a very, difficult thing that is to think about. If you see yourself building your family a certain way, it's just unrealistic to think we want to convince people to shift their path and consider an alternative approach unless that intuitively felt like the right path for them. But they're so common, these stories. The question is, what's really happening behind the scenes? Are these really one-off instances that can't be explained, or perhaps are there things psychologically, emotionally happening that can actually equip ourselves and our bodies to feel safe and trusting and actually allow us to succeed on our journeys? That's the question.
Yes, so true, Marc. And I'm just thinking sociologically how many people delay childbearing. And it makes so much sense in the span of a lifetime to delay it, and because people, and especially women in a two-shift workforce, two-gender workforce, need to establish themselves, ideally before they start a family. And you put all this together, and then you get the biological clock, and then you get the biological clock, and then you get this internal pressure, right? As you talk about this internal pressure. And this, I think your approach may be a little scary to people in one way. I'm thinking about the Cancer personality, and that can lead to people being blamed for coming down with cancer. It's fairly tricky. I'm very curious your take on all of this.
Well, first of all, I lived this for a decade. And when I say this, struggling to conceive, and I will tell you, for any one of your listeners, Dr. Duffy, this is just an incredibly hard time. And I think sometimes we're quick to dismiss on how traumatic of an experience this is. It's, your entire life becomes increments of 30 days where, you know, you're hopeful this month that maybe this is the month. You know, that complete despair. And it's this ongoing cycle. It doesn't take long before, within just several months, that early worry and anxiety about why is this taking so long starts to shift to that fear and panic and anxiety. And, you know, when this happened to my wife, we're on 2 separate occasions. We had this surprise, unexpected conception. And if my wife was on this call right now, she'd tell you, like, we became that annoying story. Like, how did that happen to us? We didn't like these stories, and here it was so beautiful that it happened, but you couldn't help but say, for years we've heard these stories. How have we not gone deeper to research, to understand, are they truly one-off miracles, or are there some commonalities and insights and patterns that can help to put people in that opportune place where their emotional health and well-being is actually psychologically contributing to their journey and not working against us? And we're not suggesting, it's unethical to ever suggest that, you know, anyone could suggest that something will lead to a conception. We don't know. Even the best doctors don't know. But all we can do is try to understand that we are more than just physical beings. We're emotional beings, we're spiritual beings. And if we can bring all 3 into harmony and alignment, then we have a lot of our members are in treatment, others are considering treatment, others are looking for alternative approaches. But what we can't do is quickly discount ourselves and our bodies. But what you said, Dr. Duffy, is the facts. We're building families later in life. Women are being told early on that their clocks are ticking. They're trying to build careers. We're trying to build financial stability. When we say now is the time, and here's this window where wouldn't it be ideal, when this starts to not happen as in the way in which we expect it to, it's just, this gets very, very emotionally difficult, challenging, and that anxiety and worry statistically can absolutely impact our reproductive health, for sure.
Yes, it can. And you offer in your book, Journey to Parenthood and Beyond, from your company, Organic Conceptions, an acronym, Surrender. And I think that it basically says it all, Marc Sherman. You know, the idea of letting go and accepting and relaxing, that this in and of itself can be very helpful.
So I will tell you, there's people like hanging up the phone right now or turning the volume down, because when you're struggling, the last thing you want to hear is relax, let go, kind of get your mind off things.
Good point.
What I will tell you, it's just, I lived this. This was my life. It consumed us. It owned us. It owned every waking thought of our lives. It dictated what we ate, what we drank, our intimacy. It dictated every part of our being was under the microscope. But let me just tell you something. You know, as you know, when we met, through this instance, where on 2 separate occasions, my wife and I became that unexpected surprise conception. It led us to saying, you know, let's hire Dr. Kate Webster, who's a psychologist, that joined me to research all variations of stories of couples that told they couldn't conceive, PCOS, endometriosis, advanced age, all these different labels and identities. And then there's people that had this unexpected conception. And what we uncovered is these 9 emotional stages or transitions that were common across these stories. And yes, we have the workbook that you have, but it's an online course. It's a 7-hour course that moves couples through these modules. And it's essentially, at the end of the day, the outcome is that we move couples to a higher, greater quality of life as it relates to the way their sense of self, the way they're thinking about themselves and their bodies. Because very early on, you start to distrust yourself. You distrust your body. Women really start to define themselves by what's not happening in their lives. They start to think that they're parts that need fixing. Then they take on the patient mentality, and this is my identity, and I start to create an environment around the compliance of what I'm supposed to do based on my diagnosis or my age or my probability of conceiving. And then, yes, there was this final part of the research of these 9 transitions. We defined it surrendering, but let me tell you this is not letting go. This is not forgetting about it. This is not convincing others to shift their path, but it was where there was a statistical change in how people thought of themselves, their ability to cope, and their ability to stay engaged, connected with life. In these couples that we researched, there was statistics that we shared through this course, and ultimately through the course is to move people to this place where they came back to themselves, each other, life, and they had no idea there was going to be a surprise, unexpected conception, but they became well again. The shame, the blame, the compliance, the life becoming obsessed with robotic intimacy.
Yes.
It's just incredible. And they came back to themselves. Now, listen, easier said than done. If someone's listening, and I can hear how this would have sounded if my wife and I were in this moment. It sounds foofy, but these psychological stages, you could tell someone to relax when you're trying to conceive, go to yoga, meditate. You feel better for 3 hours, then that thought is back in your head. What we're doing is cognitively getting to the root of the thoughts and emotions that can absolutely wreak havoc on your emotional health and well-being in your reproductive health. Your reproductive health and emotional health are not two independent systems. They're mutually exclusive. And we're quick to forget that.
Right, absolutely. And that timed intercourse, the timed ovulation, it's a killer for romance and lust and arousal, all of that.
Our bodies know when it's safe. Our bodies know when we're in a good place. Our bodies know when we're reconnected. But what quickly happens is women feel like, this is my body. This is my fault. I need to find the fix. We had women in our research, just literally hundreds of interviews, hundreds of statistics. She said, it was like a type A person. I needed to fix this. This was my problem. And the partner's off in the margin. You don't even sense that this is about a united couple coming together. This is about literally, how do we overcome this? How do I make this go away? This is my body, and I need to fix this. I had a woman just recently tell me, she said, she went through our program, and she said, it wasn't until I got to the course, the part of the course where really help people understand the environment and the identity that they've started to create. This one woman told me two things. She said, my entire life was being paralyzed in two ways. One was my constant trying to unturn every rock, every stone to figure out, I need to find the fix. What have I not looked at? She said every day she feels like she described herself as being in the jungle, cutting her way through to find the fix, not seeing anything around her, which that's pretty typical that we heard. The second part of her life, check this out, Dr. Duffy, she said, all the things I wouldn't do in a given month because what if I'm pregnant? So she said, Mark, I wouldn't go have a drink with a friend. She liked diving. I wouldn't swim. I wouldn't dive because what if I'm basically what she started, she goes, even buying a car. Maybe I won't buy a car because what if we have triplets? What if we need in vitro? What if I need a minivan? She basically said both facets of her entire life and identity were being consumed by this infertility label that she, now she told me, she goes, through the course, I realized I have to be who I am today. I'm not pregnant right now. I have to be me. I have to thrive. I still need to move forward. But it can paralyze someone. It could bring, and this is not looking at people as shame on you. This is very normal. And I think that through the course and what we're trying to do is no one needs to be told what to do. It's actually it's a complete misperception in the market. Everyone thinks these people need to be told what to do. Part of the problem is everyone's telling you what to do. Stand on your head, do this, take this, eat this, remove this toxin. You become so hyper sensitive to everything that you're not doing right, and you actually start feeling really bad about yourself. All we're trying to do is get to the root of our intentions. We need to meet people where they are. When people go through our course, it's like stages of grief. They realize, oh my gosh, that's me. That's me in that stage. And that's okay to be in that stage. And it's okay to have that negative thought. And why is the woman at Target not grateful for her baby and you do anything to have a baby or whatever? We meet them where they are because we research real people. But then through identifying where you are, there becomes a level of empowerment where you realize, I have a choice in terms of how I'm interpreting what's happening to me. I have a choice in terms of the meaning I give it. I have a choice in terms of the life I surround myself and create around it. And what happens naturally through the course is we don't tell people a thing except for helping them to find themselves through this process and then start to reflect to say, how is that peace manifesting in your journey? And that takes courage and vulnerability, Dr. Duffy. It's easier just to change diet. We are emotionally asking people to explore and dig in and go head on. But when you can do that, you have no idea the stories that we get written in. It's just it's incredible.
Yes, beautiful. And Mark, you use a term, very interesting term. It's called empowering doubt. So people unknowingly empower doubt in themselves and in the possibilities. Is that it?
Doubt starts to drive. Doubt starts to become, oh my gosh, I knew it. I was on, birth control too long. I knew it. I always loved playing with babies. I knew it. What happens as we move people through the program is that at some point there's this conception of doubt. And it's where this delay we're experiencing is colliding with this expectation of the way that we thought life would go. And this colliding starts to create this perfect storm. And listen, once again, Dr. Duffy, normal. But then when we bring words and visibility to something that you're feeling and going through, but you have no words to understand it or to be able to process it, that's not where it's empowering. And when you can start to see, like, oh my gosh, yes, I see what I'm doing. But yeah, at some point in time, the conception of doubt starts to drive. And the way that we think is the way that we act, and that the way that we act is the way that we start to be. And
Yes.
many times it's people not feeling their feelings, and it's just pushing through this. And my wife was the same. If she was here, she'd tell you, I just wanted to make this go away, and I would do anything possible. And our lives became literally, and it's sad. And this is why the industry is blowing up. There's so much money being spent on reproductive health and the science and the technology. And I'm not here to tell people what path is right or wrong, because that's not our job. But I think we're really missing that there's an emotional health component. Most people think of emotional health and you think of, a program for people that are just in a really dark place or depressed, or help people get by. I want to talk about how do we actually optimize our emotional health? How do we bring our bodies in a state where our cortisol levels are not disrupting our hormones, not disrupting our progesterone, not disrupting our body's sense of when it's safe. And I want to put people in a position where they are in the best position for success, whatever path they choose.
So, Marc Sherman, please tell people how they can access your book, how they can take your course.
Yeah, so the course, and let me tell you, Dr. Duffy, I know you're going to love this because your intro is about relationships. We created a 7-hour course. I tell people ahead of time, if you're not willing to emotionally explore and engage and understand, this journey is yours. It's not playing out like your sisters or your best friends. If you're willing to engage and dig in, you have no idea the power of your own mind and your own abilities here. And like I said, even if this is a complement to treatment, but I guess I want to stress one thing. The course we created, a lot of women go through it first and they say, I can't wait to bring my partner, my husband through it. But we created a course for the couple. Why? This is about a couple. This is not a woman's item that women feel I have to do this, I have to track, this is a course, call it date night. We have couples that say we did an hour a week for 8 weeks, we moved through the modules. This is a chance, and you know this, Dr. Duffy, life gets hard. So many couples tell us this gave them a combined strength to understand, because let's face it, the way a husband's processing this is way different than the way the woman is. Is either right or wrong? Of course not. It's our ability to understand, validate, connect, and find some common ground. And it's not just common ground. It actually becomes strength and power of that united couple. And when women feel like they own this all themselves, and my husband's not as worried, he said that it's going to be fine, but I feel like this is my identity on the planet, and then it's in jeopardy, and I feel this constant weight of how do I fix this? When these couples can grasp this together, it's not about an outcome, Dr. Duffy. It's how we endure the journey together. Period. I had a top reproductive doctor tell me recently, literally in Virginia, he said, Mark, regardless of the outcome, you have no idea if there's not an alignment emotionally between the couple, divorces, marriages ending. He said, it is about emotionally, and you know this, life will get hard. There will be more uncertainty. And certainly when you throw kids in the mix, life gets difficult.
Yes.
The gift of the couple enduring this together, finding each other together, connecting. I know it sounds soft, but there is statistically a power in a chemistry that I believe is absolutely, and everything that we research matters in this. And so this is a course for couples. So our company is called OrganicConceptions.com. It's all about optimizing the emotional health and well-being for couples. It's an online course, but then we have the beautiful workbook journal that I think we sent you. Couples can download the workbook. We have a mentor community. Our job is to keep people lifted, trusting, and to help them make good decisions in terms of So many couples tell us they felt forced into a decision. I took that path because I felt forced. I was told my clock is ticking. I'm running out of time. That is not, you can't go to the grocery market and feel rushed and do the right thing shopping. How are you going to move into a very difficult, big decision in terms of your reproductive care unless you're emotionally centered and grounded? So our job is just emotionally keep couples well and really keep that couple well and connected and trusting regardless of their outcome and regardless of where they, the particular path that they might choose.
Beautiful. So well said, Marc Sherman.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we're looking at organicconceptions.com. Organic, ORGANIC, conceptions, CONCEPTIONS.com, and keep the couple well together. And that's a very funny point, and it's ironic. We don't like to rush when we have to make decisions in a supermarket, let alone when we're wanting to bring a child into the world. And I'm just thinking about a couple of my clients. First of all, I have on my bulletin board in my counseling office, life is about a journey, not a destination, obviously. So this is your point. And then we live in a society where everything is focused on outcome and results and not about process, not about relationship per se. And sometimes it works when it's a mechanical thing, and then sometimes it doesn't. And we don't know always the reasons why not. What is it? And you are breathing another whole illumination, a light onto this, Marc. So,
even though we don't suggest an unexpected conception, it's just not ethical, you have no idea. There was people that told they couldn't conceive. There's people that told they're too old, to this, to that, to that. And what was common across these stories starts to provide a roadmap. Can we suggest an outcome? Dr. Kate Webster was a psychologist that joined me in this research. We can't ethically ever suggest. However, we do not. Doctors know a lot, and they're doing their best, and technology is taking us far. But we have no idea what happens when we are stronger than we've ever been as a society. What we hear is everyone hears the story of the couple that struggles. We're more aware of it. Huffington Post had a report recently, and this is scary. Women in their early 20s, they asked, what is your biggest health fear? And it was infertility and getting straight answers. What that tells us is before we're even starting, we're anticipating a problem. We're anticipating a problem. So when it doesn't happen in 3 months, guess what's happening? We're fabricating a story with a lot of false and limiting beliefs, period. And there's so much powerful stories of success that exist, and even success we've had couples that have had treatment that has failed twice. They've gone through the course, they went back, but they were back in had a different perspective, a different life, a different essence in them, a different connection, a realization that this didn't work, this isn't the end, this is a journey, this is a process, and they succeed. So we're just quick to focus on mechanical fixes. There's an emotional, spiritual, and physical, and we're suggesting that all three need to be applied and looked at. And it takes some vulnerability and courage to say, I'm going to, people feel like they got to go as fast as they can, but it's an investment worth taking.
Definitely. Sure. And you use a term, chapter 3 is surrender into life. And I love it. And I'm thinking about the serenity prayer, that we surrender the things we can't control, and we have the courage to control the things we can. And of course, the wisdom to know the difference. So what you're doing, what you're doing here is you're looking at, where can we surrender, and what does that mean? And then also, what can we do? Nutrition, and as well as what you're looking at is the connection between the couple and the sense of meaning, and to move it away from mechanics. And
life goes on hold.
Yes.
Literally, most people are paralyzed. As a couple, we're waiting, we're not doing this, we're not making this decision. And what a beautiful time. And many people, these are young couples, Dr. Duffy. If you think about, this is the sequence of life. They've engaged and married, built a home, and they get the fish, and they're progressing. And now they're dealing with this incredible uncertainty. And for so many, it becomes this void, years of their lives that were lost, time that was wasted. And all we're going to try to do is, wouldn't it be incredible to think the answer is actually being, uniting, living? And so many people in retrospect, and I say this in the program all the time, that there's not one person that could have said this to my wife, because let's face it, life is easier in retrospect. Like if the door, I'm sure everyone in their life can think about that instance where that door slammed in your face and you thought, this is the worst possible moment of my life. And then X months later, X years later, you realize that sent me down a new path. That was a gift. That was a blessing. That was the preparation that brought me. So it's tough to see when you're in this moment. And I will never discount what it's like for a couple who wants a child to say, that sounds cute, but this is very, very difficult time. However, through all these stories that we weave into the course, there's people that realize that that they found their children through other ways, and they realize that life meant something now, and this was a chance to better heal or give back or give to each other. Or a lot of people realize the jobs that they're in, life was hectic. It probably wasn't the best time. So all we need to do is recognize, what could we be doing with this time now? And the beauty of that is that recognition, that understanding, that engagement of where we are now together and at a deeper level could actually become the answer. Like living could become the way in which you get what you so desperately want, but it's a complete opposite mindset when you're just trying to make this problem go away.
Beautiful, beautiful. So again, I want everyone to know how to reach you and take this course and recommend this course to people. I have two couples that are struggling in the ways that you're describing, Marc, in my practice. And, it's also the power of belief. And one is one woman delayed childbearing to establish her career. And then when she couldn't get pregnant, what was her interpretation that she gave? God was punishing her. How dare she? Gosh. Right. How dare she have the nerve to defy God's will for her? So, yes, and we do have to close. So I want to thank you so much, Marc Sherman. So organicconceptions.com. organicconceptions.com. Can you imagine 7 hours to freedom? It's a wonderful thing. A wonderful thing. Yeah. And I'm so glad that out of your pain, Marc, you and your wife, that you created such a beautiful awareness and a course. So,
Dr. Duffy, we're not stopping. We have a training program for doctors and nurses so they can better understand and have greater empathy for what's behind the eyes of that couple that's sitting in the waiting room. We're very quick as an industry to treat people as physical beings, and we will not stop until we can help just bring recognition to the emotional side of this equation and the incredible power that exists.
Absolutely. Thank you, Marc Sherman. So this is Dr. Duffy Spencer saying goodbye for now and wishing you great relationships.